Alright, let's move on to lesson 103. And in lesson 103 here, we are going to be talking about fractions equal to 1 and fractions equal to 1/2. And these are things that hopefully you'll pick up very quickly. And they're almost like things that as soon as you see them, some of them you just want to know by memory and just be able to recognize it and know that that's equal to 1/2. Or that fraction is equal to 1, and do it very quickly. So, as always, take a little time to do the warm-up questions. These are designed to help you just get you thinking a little bit and maybe do a little review. And let's dive into today's new topic. First, we're going to focus on fractions that are equal to 1. Remember, we've talked about fractions before, and we talked about them as being a part of a whole. So now we're going to look at what fractions, when we write them, actually are representing the whole, the complete amount, even though it's written as a fraction. So for example, if you had a whole circle, or like an entire pizza pie, for example, that could be represented with the number 1. One pizza pie, one pizza. If you take that and you divide it in half, as illustrated here in this diagram, then you have 2 halves. You have 2 halves of that pizza pie. So 2 out of the 2 halves. So 2 out of 2. You have both of them. Let's say you eat the whole pie yourself. Well, you ate the whole pie. So 2 out of 2, or 2 halves, is equal to an entire pie. Now it doesn't matter how many slices you cut this pie into, or how many sections you cut it into. You could cut it into thirds, to 3 equal pieces. If you eat all 3 of those pieces, 3 of the thirds, all 3 of the thirds, you ate an entire pizza pie. You could divide it into 4 pieces, 4 equal pieces, and you eat all 4 of those fourths, you ate the entire pie. Or you could divide it into fifths, and you kind of see the idea here. That's an entire pie as well. So anytime you see a fraction where it's written as a number divided by itself, doesn't matter what that number is, any of these numbers, 100 over 100, all of those are equal to the entire amount, the unit, 1. Okay? So, you can see right away, this here, 6 sixths, 6 out of 6, that is 1. Example 2, write a fraction equal to 1 that has a denominator of 7. Well, if you want the denominator to be 7, that means you divided that pizza pie into sevenths, 7 equal pieces. If you eat the entire pie, you ate 7 slices, 7 sevenths. Now we want to look at fractions that are equal to 1/2. This time what you're doing is you're going to cut that pizza pie. Here's the entire pizza pie. You're going to cut it in half, and you're only going to eat half of it though. You're going to save the other half for later or give it to somebody else. So we're trying to figure out just a half amount of the pizza pie, and what if you take that pizza pie and you cut it into more slices. So if you eat half of the pizza, you've eaten 1 out of the 2 pieces, 1/2, 1 of the 2. If you take it and you divide it into quarters, but still you only eat half of the pie, only half of the pizza, you're going to eat 2 of those quarter sections. So 2 out of 4, or 2/4. It's still equal to a half though. 1/2 is equal to 2/4. If you divide it into sixths, but you only eat 3 of them, you've eaten half of the pizza, so 3 out of 6 is 1/2. And same way if you divide it into 8 pieces and you only eat 4 of them, 4 out of the 8 is 1/2. You'll notice that the top number is half of the bottom number, or the bottom number is twice the top number. That's always going to be true. It's always going to be true when you have a fraction that is equal to 1/2. So just look here and say, is 3 half of 7, or 7 twice 3? Nope. Is 4 half of 4? No, this one actually is equal to 1. Is 5 half of 10? Yeah, 10 is twice the amount of 5, so this is the one that's equal to 1/2. Is 9 twice as much as 5? Nope, that's not equal to 1/2. So this is the one that's equal to 1/2. 3 over 8 and 1/2. Well, 3 over 8, comparing it to 1/2. If you had 4 out of 8, 4 is half of 8, or 8 is twice as much as 4, that would be equal to 1/2. But you only have 3 of the 8. So if you eat 4 of the 8 slices of pizza, you've eaten half of the pizza. But if you only eat 3 of the 8 slices, you've eaten less than half. Round 6 7/10 to the nearest whole number. Well, if you look at this, 7 out of 10, let's just look at the fractional part of this. 7 out of 10, that is bigger than 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 is a half. So you've eaten more than 6 1/2. 6 5/10 would be six pizzas and then a half a pizza more. Well, that is less than 6 pizzas and 7/10 of the next pizza. So 6 7/10 is greater than 6 5/10. So that means it's going to be closer to 7 than it is to 6, because 6 1/2 is going to be right in the middle between 6 and 7. So 6 7/10, 7 is closer to 10 than it is to the 0 back here. Okay, so 6 7/10 is going to be closer to 7. You're going to round that up to 7. And here you can see it on a number line. Very helpful to look at a number line. Here's our 6 1/2. 6 7/10 is closer to 7 than it is to the 6. We're rounding this, says, to the nearest whole number. So that means the 6 or the 7. You got to choose. What is it closer to? So let's look at this practice together. Write a fraction equal to 1 that has a denominator of 6. That should be equal. This should be easy. 6 over 6. Which of these fractions equals 1? You're just looking for the one that has the same number on the top and the bottom. Right there. What fraction name for 1 is shown by each picture? Well, you've got this whole unit, the whole thing, divided into 6 slices, 6 pieces, and all of them are shaded, so that's 6 out of 6. Here, you've got this square divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3 by 3, 9 boxes, and all of them are shaded, 9 out of 9. Write a fraction equal to 1 with a denominator of 12. If the denominator is 12, that has to be twice the numerator to be equal to 1/2. That would be 6 6/12. Compare 9/20 to 1/2. Well, let's think about 1/2. 1/2 would be equal to 20 in the denominator with 10 in the numerator. Well, do you have 10/20? No, you've got excuse me, less than that. 9/20 is going to be less than 10/20, and 10/20 is equal to 1/2. So 9/20 is going to be less than 1/2. Round 5 3/8 to the nearest whole number. So we have to think about, is this closer to 5 or is it closer to 6? Well, 5 3/8, 5 4/8 would be right in the middle. That's your 5 1/2, because 4/8 is equal to half. You're at 5 3/8, which is going to be less. So 5 3/8. Okay? So you'd be closest to 5, rounded to the 5. All right, work on your problem set. Don't skip any problems. Work hard on it. Show your work, and take your time. Be detailed, methodical, and do good work. All right, keep it up. Keep working. Let me know if you got questions.